Good Sunday morning. My name is Jaden Jefferson, and welcome to Community Focus. Now, the last time I chatted with this guest, he was running for a seat on Toledo City Council. Now he's setting his sights on a position in Columbus. Joining me now is local healthcare worker Daniel Ortiz. Good morning.
Good morning.
So my first question for you is, what made you want to run for state representative?
Well, it's kind of the same thing that made me want to run for Toledo City Council. It feels sort of like a continuation of that campaign. I hadn't really expected to run for state rep or for anything this year, but the way that the redistricting process is kind of shaken out, it's still ongoing, obviously, and kind of some of the other representatives seeking different offices, the opportunity just kind of came up, and I just wanted to be ready to run. And with the redistricting still ongoing, we still had to file in February. They didn't change those dates. So when I went and got my signatures and filed, I still wasn't totally sure if this is, what we were going to be doing this year, but I wanted to be ready. I didn't want a district to be drawn and have no Democrat in there to run for the office. So, I went and got my signatures, and the more I got kind of back into the flow and back into the process of campaigning again and all that stuff, I was like, yeah, we're going to go for it. We're going to do it this time. So, and I say that I'm motivated the same way I was with city council is, like you said, I'm a healthcare worker. There's not a lot of healthcare workers in elected office anywhere, but especially not in Ohio or in the state house. And I just want to kind of bring more younger people into the process, kind of show them that we can run for office. It's in my opinion, time for a new generation of leaders to step up and lead our communities. And I think a good way to do that is to actually be in the room where it happens and, get into elected office. So I'm going for it.
Yeah, you mentioned redistricting, which has been a big deal these last few weeks. So what was your reaction watching map drawers in Columbus fuss over these new maps?
It's really, really disappointing because, activists a few years ago, when they got the constitutional amendment to change our redistricting process and create this, what is supposed to be a bipartisan redistricting commission, that was a Herculean effort across the state. The amount of work it takes to get an issue like that onto the ballot, they changed our constitution, and in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinions, the redistricting commission, specifically the Republicans on the redistricting commission, are not following through with kind of what they're mandated to do by the Constitution. It shouldn't be that hard. The Republicans draw a map, the Democrats draw a map, and you're supposed to meet in the middle somewhere. Ohio is a purple state. We vote 54% Republican, and all we're asking for is for fairness, is for our representation to look like that. We're not asking for the Democrats to take control of the state legislature. We're asking, for the state legislature to match voters' preferences. And right now, we have an absolute dominant supermajority of Republicans in the state ledge. And when one party has, rules with an iron fist, they are going to work for the party's special interests and donors and lobbyists, and not for the people of Ohio.
And I think anyone who has seen your social media feed and the things you've been posting recently knows how passionate you are about that and about our local community. So what are some things you hope to accomplish if elected?
If elected, in the inverse of what I just said, I want to be someone who, when you see how I act, that I'm listening to the people in our community. I don't think that a politician necessarily needs to be someone who comes in and says, I'm going to fix everything. I have all these great ideas, there's things I want to work on, but I also want to hear from people, what my priorities are. It might not match the priorities of my district, whatever the district ends up being, but I know it's going to include the Old West End, and I know what's important here. Right now, front of mind for everyone in Toledo, and this is the same as it was in the Toledo City Council race, is gun violence. And so when everyone here is concerned about gun violence, and then you tune into what's going on in Columbus, and they are making it so you don't have to have any kind of training or anything to have a concealed carry permit, that's ridiculous. That flies in the face of what matters to most people. And, all across the state, chiefs of police and people in law enforcement and safety are saying, do not do this, do not pass this law, and they passed it anyways. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, when they're just kind of, that law was written by lobbyists. There's floor speeches were written by lobbyists. They say it, it's plain out. This is not my conjecture. It's not my conspiracy theory. It's not my bipartisanship talking. They said that. And that just shouldn't be how government works, and I'm not like, my wife has her concealed carry permit, right? She went and did the training. She took the 8 hours of classes. She knows how to carry a gun and how to handle it. It's basic safety stuff. It doesn't infringe on anyone's constitutional right to make you go take a class just so you know what you're doing. Like, okay, if you're going to carry this gun around, that is your right. We want to make sure that you know how to handle it properly. That's for the safety of the person using it. That's for the safety of the people in their household. It's not even necessarily, proponents of this bill say, well, when you make gun laws, criminals don't follow it. Okay, whatever. First off, I disagree with that logic anyways, but this is about the safety of the gun owner and the people in their house. And so it's just, I can't think of a better example of them not listening to their constituents and, our communities across Ohio when they pass something like this. So, I would, if Democrats get any sort of power back in the state legislature, the first thing we need to do is go on offense against all the horrible things that they're working through right now. It's this so-called constitutional carry bill. I think we have 3 or 4 anti-transgender bills in going through the state ledge right now. That's ridiculous. That doesn't help anyone. They're creating problems, and lawmakers shouldn't create problems. They should listen to communities and find solutions. And they're creating problems where they're not. And when they waste their time on attacking teachers, transgender kids, trying to make gun ownership less safe, when they're doing this nonsense, not only are they harming people, but what aren't they working on, right? We still don't have good access to healthcare in Ohio. The minimum wage is too low. They could be working on things that would make a positive difference in people's everyday lives. And they're not doing that so that they can play games with this other nonsense. It's ridiculous.
If I had the time, I would go into detail into all the disgraceful things happening in Columbus, but we don't have the time on this show.
No,
so,
we don't. We need a whole week.
But, you mentioned it, though, that voters in Toledo, they're dealing with gun violence and all these other issues. And then seeing what's happening in Columbus and all of the bills that are being passed, it almost seems as if our priorities aren't being put, to the forefront. So what has been your reaction to that? And what feedback have you gotten from voters, especially after the election last year?
When you talk to most people, and you don't even have to figure out their partisan lean, most people, we all kind of want the same thing. So right now in Toledo, they care about gun violence. They care about their communities being invested in, and that's just taking care of the neighborhoods and things like that. And, that's something that was a really big central focus of my Toledo City Council campaign. And I think there are still ways to do that from the state legislature. I think that the state can provide funds for cities to, kind of revitalize neighborhood associations and things like that. And I think that there are a lot of people who are, at least in Toledo, people that I talk to, who I think would be ready to take that mantle if you provided them some of that infrastructure to say, okay, organize your neighbors, take your neighbors and figure out what your neighborhood needs. And then, we provide that direct line to the city government, to the state government, whatever, to get them the resources they need to take care of the things. Again, it's not a politician coming in and saying, here's what I think you need. It's just knowing that they have the access and the lines of communication to let us know, how can we fix, because every neighborhood's different. Everyone's priorities are different. You can make kind of these sweeping generalizations, but at the end of the day, the only way to really know how to fix a community is to live in it and to be there. And every neighborhood has people that are passionate. And, when I'm running, that's I want to let those people know that, hey, you should run too, because a lot of people don't think politics are for them, right? And that could be because they don't think they match the kind of person that can be in politics, or they don't have the background, or maybe they think that politics is nasty, it's corrupt, and they don't want to be involved in that. And I think that second part is intentional. I think people, when you have people stand up in our state legislature and do nonsense, when they have the lady last year sticking the coins to her forehead and stuff like that because the vaccine made her magnetized or whatever, when you have that, I think there are a lot of good people who see that and are like, I don't want any part of that. And I think that's the exact wrong message. I see that and I'm like, oh God, we need more good people in there, so I want to get in. And it's, it's not really about me. It's about hey, if I can do it, then you can do it, then anyone can do it. There's nothing special about me. I'm a pharmacy technician. I'm just a guy. and I think that I hope that we can just get more of these kind of community leader type people to say, you know what, why not you? You're always telling the politicians what you need. You stay in tune. You're going around, you're going to the events and things like that. I think you should run. I think you should get in there, because who would know better than someone who's been able to like organize their neighborhood,
Who knows? I mean, we're dealing with a lot of things right now. So it would be interesting to see more people who are in tune with what's happening actually making the decisions. So that would be
Yeah.
interesting to see how that could change our current circumstances here in Ohio. So, of course, we talked about the issues that we're dealing with right now, but what do you want voters to know about you?
About me, I've worked in the healthcare industry for the last my whole adult life. Basically, I was 18. I got a job at Rite Aid. I was a cashier. They promoted me to pharmacy tech, and then I've stayed in pharmacy ever since. And what you need to know about me is I'm passionate about getting more people involved in politics. That is my goal. My goal is not just to get myself elected, but it's to get more people to say, I can do that, because this process is hard to break into. They don't make it easy for just someone off the street. Yes, it's all public. Everyone can pull petitions, but how many people even know that you have to pull petitions to get on the ballot? And I don't say that to make fun of anyone, because I didn't know last year. I didn't know until I talked to someone and I was like, so how do you get on the ballot? I feel like if you polled everyone in the state, a lot of people wouldn't know that that's how you do it. So I want to be an open resource. So if you're watching this, maybe you're not going to be in my district, maybe you're not going to vote for me, whatever. What I want you to know is my DMs are always open on Instagram and on Twitter. You send me a message and I will help point you in the right direction. This last couple months, I was in Lead Ohio's Candidate Academy. Lead Ohio is a really awesome organization that kind of trains progressives on how to run for office or how to work for political campaigns and things like that. And I see myself one day, hopefully, being involved with an organization like that, maybe specific to Toledo, because I'm passionate about getting people in politics, but I'm really passionate about Toledo. I've lived in the area my whole life, and I don't see myself going anywhere anytime soon now. I live in the old West End. We bought a house last year. Like, we're here. I love Toledo. Toledo's home forever. And I would like to just be someone in Toledo that can say, okay, you want to run for your city council district, or you want to run for, whatever, school board. We need people at all these positions. And I would like to just kind of be an open book, a resource for people. I'll help you. Let me point you in the right direction. Here's how we're going to pull petitions. Here's how you get on the ballot. Here's all the many, many mistakes I made the first and second time I ran for office. Here's what not to do. That's kind of where I see myself heading, whether I get elected or not.
And this, folks, is what Community Focus is about, the betterment of our community through getting involved. So, Daniel Ortiz, you're running for state representative. Thank you so much for joining me on this Sunday.
Jaden, thank you so much for having me again. It's good to talk to you. And I just want to tell folks, if you head to my website, ortizfortoledo.com, there's information there's a link to donate, which obviously we need, and there's a link to sign up to volunteer. Last year was my first year ever knocking doors. The first door I knocked was for myself as a candidate, which is a little backwards, but I love knocking doors. So I would be happy to, if you've never done that before, train you on that, and we'll get out there and talk to folks, and we're going to learn, because I can say what my issues are, but then you knock on someone's door and they start talking to you about something that you've never considered. I love that so much. And let's get out, let's talk to our neighbors, and let's go do this thing. So thanks again, Jaden.
Of course. Thank you. You have a great day.
You too, buddy.